In a time not so far from ours, yet worlds apart, the Earth was a mystery, a vast enigma waiting to be unraveled. Bound by the horizon, humanity gazed out into the unknown, teetering on the edge of a profound transformation. Welcome to the Age of Exploration, a period brimming with maritime adventure and the thrill of discovery. This era, spanning the 15th to the 17th centuries, ushered in unprecedented global exploration. Driven by the ambition of crowns, the curiosity of the bold, and the expertise of the seafarer, this was a time that saw the world map take shape. Today, we embark on a journey back into this epoch that forever changed our understanding of the world and our place in it. But what sparked this global outburst of exploration? This chapter of history was influenced by an intricate mix of factors, from technological advancements and religious zeal to economic incentives and a yearning for glory. These elements conspired, creating the perfect setting for a new age to dawn, where the familiar would give way to the unprecedented, and the map's edge would become just another stepping stone, not the end. Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, Ferdinand Magellan. These names are etched into the annals of exploration, each representing a piece of the puzzle that became our understanding of the world. However, they were more than just explorers. They were pioneers, stepping into the unknown, armed with nothing but courage and an insatiable desire for discovery. The Age of Exploration was not just a time of discovery, but also a period of encounter and exchange. It was a time when cultures clashed and mingled, economies globalized, and ideas spread like never before. This era forever transformed the world, sowing the first seeds of our interconnected global society. We invite you to step aboard this journey through time, as we explore the tales of these trailblazers who dared to venture beyond the horizon into the unknown. Their journeys not only expanded the world as they knew it, but they also changed the course of history, setting us on the path to the world we inhabit today. Hold fast, for we are about to set sail into the Age of Exploration. As we set our course back to the 15th century, we find ourselves at the brink of a seismic shift. The Middle Ages were drawing to a close, and the Renaissance was on the horizon. Central to this rapid spread of knowledge was the invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg in the mid-15th century. This transformative technology enabled information to travel faster and reach larger audiences, encouraging intellectual curiosity and sparking scientific inquiry. In this evolving milieu, the quest for new trade routes began to take center stage. The allure of the East, with its tales of exotic spices, luxurious silks, and precious gems, had captured Europe's imagination. For centuries, trade with the East was conducted overland, via the Silk Road, a network of routes stretching from Europe to China. However, political instability and high costs associated with these land routes sparked a search for alternative pathways via sea. Enter Portugal, a small but ambitious maritime nation. Under the leadership of Prince Henry the Navigator, Portugal pioneered the early phase of the Age of Exploration. Henry's initiatives included advancing navigational techniques, developing ships capable of long sea voyages, and establishing a school of navigation that brought together the era's greatest minds. Prince Henry's vision led Portuguese explorers to chart unknown waters. They ventured down the coast of Africa, establishing trade posts along the way, and sought a sea route to the east, around the African continent. This culminated in one of the most significant voyages of the Age of Exploration, Vasco da Gama's journey to India in 1497. Da Gama's expedition confirmed the possibility of reaching the east by sailing around Africa, bypassing the arduous overland routes entirely. This sea route to India would revolutionize the spice trade, establishing Portugal as a dominant maritime nation and setting the stage for further exploration. Meanwhile, the geopolitical and social dynamics of Europe were changing. The fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Turks in 1453 had severe implications for Europe's trade with the East. As access to traditional trade routes became increasingly difficult, the pressure to find new paths to the East intensified. Into this unfolding drama stepped an ambitious mariner with a daring plan, a man who would arguably become the poster child of the age of exploration, Christopher Columbus. He proposed a radically different idea. Instead of navigating around the daunting landmass of Africa, why not sail west to reach the east? His theory, as we now know, would change the world in ways he could scarcely have imagined. In this era of relentless curiosity and burgeoning knowledge, Christopher Columbus became a figure of great importance. His audacious ideas captured the spirit of the age of exploration, a testament to mankind's insatiable thirst for discovery. Columbus, a self-taught man of humble origins, had a profound understanding of the sea. Born in the bustling maritime republic of Genoa, Italy, his ambition was nurtured by tales of seafarers and merchants. His dream was to reach the riches of Asia by sailing westward, a feat thought impossible by many contemporaries. However, it's worth noting that Columbus's belief in a spherical Earth was not an unusual notion among his educated contemporaries. The idea that the Earth was round had been widely accepted since ancient times. In fact, scholars like the ancient Greek mathematician Eratosthenes had not only posited that the Earth was round but had also calculated its circumference with remarkable accuracy. Columbus's theory was based on two key assumptions. The first was that the Earth was round. The second was a gross underestimation of the Earth's circumference. Columbus believed Asia could be reached more easily by sailing westward from Europe, bypassing the need to navigate around the African continent. But Columbus's calculations were off, not just because he underestimated the Earth's circumference, but also because he significantly overestimated the size of Asia and was completely unaware of the existence of the Pacific Ocean. He expected to encounter Asia much sooner than he would have had the Americas not been in his path. To realize his vision, Columbus needed funding. He approached several European monarchs with his plan, only to be rebuffed time and again. Finally, he found willing sponsors in the Catholic monarchs of Spain, Ferdinand and Isabella. Impressed by his tenacity and convinced by the potential economic gains, they agreed to fund his expedition. The year 1492 marked the beginning of Columbus's epic voyage. Setting sail from Palos, Spain, with 3 ships, the Santa Maria, the Pinta, and the Nina, Columbus embarked on a journey that was fraught with challenges. His crew, composed of convicts and young adventurers, grew increasingly mutinous as days turned into weeks with no sight of land. In the early hours of October 12, 1492, after weeks of uncertainty, a lookout on the Pinta sighted land. Columbus had not reached Asia as he believed, but instead, he had stumbled upon a whole new continent, a new world. The land was rich with indigenous civilizations, uncharted territories, and untapped resources, presenting Europe with unimaginable opportunities and paving the way for subsequent explorers. Though it's often stated that Columbus discovered a new world, it's important to clarify that Columbus never actually reached the mainland of North or South America. He only landed in the Caribbean islands during his 4 voyages. The discovery of the mainland was made by other explorers in the years following Columbus's initial voyage. Columbus's contribution to the age of exploration is undeniable. He expanded the world as Europeans knew it, challenging the status quo and setting the stage for a new epoch of discovery. The impact of Columbus's voyage is far-reaching and multifaceted. For one, it revealed the existence of 2 distinct hemispheres and led to the realization that our world was larger and more diverse than previously imagined. From the European perspective, the discovery of new lands heralded a golden opportunity for trade, wealth, and territorial expansion. But it's vital to remember the New World wasn't new for everyone. Civilizations had been thriving there for centuries, with complex societies, cultures, and economies. The Taino people were the first indigenous group Columbus encountered in the Caribbean. The Spaniards, driven by a thirst for gold and other resources, actually exploited the Taino, leading to their drastic decline. This pattern of exploitation would echo throughout the New World, raising grave questions about the human cost of exploration and discovery. Yet, the voyages sparked an unparalleled exchange of ideas, knowledge, and goods between the Old and New Worlds. This is known as the Columbian Exchange. It fundamentally reshaped global economic and cultural landscapes. Crops like potatoes, tomatoes, corn, and tobacco were introduced to Europe, radically transforming diets and agricultural practices. In turn, horses, cattle, and wheat found their way to the Americas, reshaping the landscape and indigenous ways of life. The voyages also spurred a scientific revolution. They revealed the vastness of the world and challenged long-held geographical concepts. Maps were redrawn, navigational techniques were refined, and our understanding of the planet was forever changed. While Columbus himself never accepted the fact that he had discovered a new continent, he died believing he had reached Asia. His journeys laid the groundwork for future explorations. His voyages not only changed perceptions about the world but also set the course for a new wave of explorers who would journey further into the unknown. As we delve into the age of exploration, we come across a man who made a significant impact on our understanding of the world: the Portuguese explorer, Ferdinand Magellan. Born into a noble family in Portugal, Magellan had a passion for discovery. However, it was the King of Spain who eventually granted him patronage for his most ambitious expedition, an attempt to find a westward route to the Spice Islands, what we now know as the Maluku Islands in Indonesia. In 1519, Magellan set sail with 5 ships and 270 men. The journey was fraught with challenges: dangerous seas, mutinies, hunger, and encounters with indigenous peoples. Yet, undeterred, Magellan pressed on. He discovered what is now known as the Strait of Magellan, a navigable sea route in southern Chile that separates mainland South America from the island of Tierra del Fuego. After passing through the strait, his fleet entered a previously unknown ocean, which he named Pacific for its calm waters, a stark contrast to the treacherous Atlantic. This voyage into the Pacific was a landmark in the history of exploration. It was the first European expedition to reach the Pacific Ocean from the Atlantic by navigating through the Americas. However, Magellan would not complete his journey. In 1521, during a conflict with the indigenous people of the Philippines, he met his end. Yet his vision lived on. Despite the loss of their leader and enduring unimaginable hardships, the remaining crew members, under the command of Juan Sebastian Elcano, persevered. After 3 long years at sea, one ship, the Victoria, carrying 18 of the original crew, returned to Spain. They had achieved the seemingly impossible: the first circumnavigation of the Earth. Magellan's expedition had significant consequences. While it didn't prove that the world was round, an idea that was well established among educated Europeans of his time, it did provide practical confirmation of this theory. By successfully circumnavigating the globe, Magellan's journey demonstrated that the world could be traversed in its entirety, west to east. It also laid bare the true size of the globe, a realization that changed the course of navigation and exploration. As we journey further into the age of exploration, we now turn to an explorer who connected the East with the West in a profound and transformative way: Vasco da Gama. Born in Sines, Portugal, da Gama was a man of the sea, inspired by the stories of explorers who came before him. His most significant achievement was navigating a maritime route from Portugal to India, a voyage that would ultimately establish a sea link between Europe and Asia and open new paths of commerce, conquest, and cultural exchange. In 1497, da Gama embarked on his epic journey. Armed with superior ships and innovative navigational tools, he rounded the Cape of Good Hope at the southern tip of Africa, a feat previously accomplished by another Portuguese explorer, Bartolomé Dias. However, da Gama pushed further up the east coast of Africa, reaching Malindi, in present-day Kenya. There, with the aid of a local pilot who understood the monsoon winds, da Gama crossed the Indian Ocean, landing in Calicut, India, in 1498. This momentous event marked the beginning of a sea route between Europe and the rich markets of the Indian subcontinent. Da Gama's journey was not without perils: treacherous seas, hostile encounters with local rulers, and scurvy, which took the lives of many crew members. Yet the rewards were vast. The spices and precious stones he brought back were sold at incredible profit, paving the way for Portugal's dominance in the highly lucrative spice trade and elevating the country to a world power. However, the opening of this sea route led to drastic shifts in power dynamics, marked by territorial conquests, forced conversions, and cultural assimilation. The establishment of European colonies in India left an indelible mark on its socio-political landscape, with effects that still resonate today. Vasco da Gama's voyage was a significant turning point in the history of exploration. He pushed the boundaries of the known world, transformed global trade, and expanded the horizons of European colonialism. As our journey through the age of exploration comes to an end, it's important to reflect on the magnitude of this remarkable period in human history. The impact of the voyages of explorers like Columbus, da Gama, Magellan, and many others has been profound and enduring, with consequences that still echo in our world today. The age of exploration was a time of unprecedented discovery, when humanity's understanding of the world expanded exponentially. The explorers, motivated by a mix of curiosity, greed, ambition, and faith, embarked on perilous voyages into the unknown, forever changing our perception of the world. The discoveries made during this era, however, were not without cost. The voyages of discovery also marked the beginning of the era of colonialism, bringing with them disease, exploitation, and the decimation of indigenous cultures. This darker side of the age of exploration is a stark reminder of the human cost of progress. Yet, the age of exploration also brought about a global exchange of ideas, cultures, goods, and technologies, fostering a level of global interconnectivity that was unprecedented. It laid the foundations of the modern world, shaping our maps, our societies, and our collective consciousness. In many ways, the spirit of the age of exploration lives on today. Whether it's the scientists pushing the boundaries of our knowledge, the entrepreneurs innovating new technologies, or the astronauts venturing into the final frontier of space, we continue to explore, driven by the same human curiosity and desire to understand the world that drove the explorers of the 15th and 16th centuries. In the end, the age of exploration reminds us of our shared human desire to discover, to explore, and to understand. It's a testament to our enduring curiosity, our courage in the face of the unknown, and our capacity for wonder. As we step into the future, we draw upon the courage of those who have come before us. Whether we are exploring new frontiers in science, technology, or the depths of human understanding, we do so with the understanding that our journey, like those of explorers past, is part of a larger human narrative. And so, we move forward, forever curious, forever seeking, forever exploring, mindful of our history and ever open to the vast possibilities of the future.